So, welcome everybody. This is DJ Taz Rashid, and welcome to Global Purpose Speaks. I'm your host, and I'm a musician who travels to mindful festivals around the world and just all kinds of different events, spiritual gatherings. And one of my passions is to have conversations with transformational leaders, learn about their unique missions and how they are changing the world. This talk series is created in partnership with Global Purpose Movement, which is a collective of change makers convening and co-creating in our Earth's current shift toward a world that works for everyone. And recently, I had the opportunity of attending and participating and playing music at Sedona Yoga Festival in Sedona, Arizona, and I ran across my friend Saul David Raye. And Saul's a global teacher. He's a master teacher and a musician as well, traveling far and wide. He teaches yoga, leads groups on sacred journeys in different parts of the world, meditation gatherings, Thai massage. He also leads sacred chanting and kirtan sessions, and also holds a lot of rituals and ceremonies when he travels to these different locations. So today we'll chat a little bit about his journey, connection to source energy, his unique purpose in the world, and just about his collective synergy. He works a lot with different musicians and teachers all throughout, and we want to hear a little bit about that. So enjoy the conversation. Saul, brother, welcome, and thank you for joining us. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get started, Saul. I know we were trying to get together at Sedona, but our schedules were busy. I wasn't available, so this is nice that we're able to do this one-on-one right now. I want to find out what brought you out to a place like Sedona Yoga Festival. I know you have a home there, but like what brought you out?
That's part of it.
Yeah, right. But what brought you out to a gathering like that? You go all over. Like what?
Well, first I'm grateful for every invitation, and I try to really follow the ones that I feel, like really resonate. It's like a yes. It's my second year in Sedona, but I've been going there for 20 years, and it's been a place of spiritual healing and connection with nature, quiet time for me since 1987. Not a lot, but here and there. And it's always been this incredible, powerful healing place. And it was also for the indigenous people that lived there. They actually didn't live there. It was so powerful.
Yeah,
They didn't build
that's
condos
right.
there.
They
But
didn't climb Bell Rock.
that's right. But we've been living there for about a year and a half. We have a home there, and I was invited to teach. And the presenters of the festival, Mark and Heather, producers, are very heartfelt beings. They're very, very sincere feeling and mission, and so it was an honor to be a part of that. And so,
Very cool. Very cool. So when you're doing your work, I've noticed something that's unique about you, Saul. Like you bring together many different traditions, and you're fusing them together on the work you do. Um, can you speak to a little bit about this and like how and why you've chosen some of these paths, or maybe like why they've chosen you to bring their work forward?
yeah, I'd be happy to. I mean, part of it, it's. I think we all have a unique karma, and you were talking about purpose, and I think everyone does in a way. For me, that unfolds in my journey. But I was born as Catholic, Protestant, Buddhist, Jewish, and there's a little East Indian in there. So probably Hindu, and so all that is in my blood, and I feel like it's part of my karma is that I came in with that, and so my life has been, to me, it's very universal. To me, we're one family, and we are different colors of the rainbow. We're one human family, and the essence of all religions is love and brotherhood, sisterhood. You look at the teachings of the great masters. It's just that message gets distorted, and it gets adjusted for political agendas and power agendas and so on and so forth. And so, for me, it just feels natural and to include. And I've had great healing in my own journey in many traditions. And I've studied more deeply in some than others. But I really honor the mandala of humanity. And I think that we all we come from these rich traditions, if we go back far enough, that are about connection and healing. And so for me, it just feels very natural to include that in the teaching. And then the other thing is I really, over the years have just come to a place where I want anyone who walks in that room to feel that they could do a practice, that they could connect.
Yeah.
And they not because of some terminology or some experience, they couldn't connect. So to me, it's really, that's important. So I try my best with that.
And you do it wonderfully. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Life is better with music, so I love the music too.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely be speaking about that a little bit. You spoke about a few things there, but a couple of things I heard about were connection and source. Personally for you, like when do you feel most connected to source? Like
Right now, you reminded me. For me, I mean, mainly my practice is I view my life as my practice, but there are moments we come in and out of the connection. I think connection is always there.
Oh yeah.
And there are just moments that we're conscious of it, we remember, and other moments that we get caught in the mind and we, in our dramas, and we forget. So, for me, the time that I feel most connected in my personal practice is early in the mornings. There's this very quiet time. So almost every day I'm able to have at least a little time in meditation and prayer. Mantra practice is also very important for me. And even a little goes a long way. And then, being in community so much and sharing practices with others and being a part of spiritual community, I feel like much of my life is blessed with that connection.
Yeah.
And so, when we're doing music or yoga or, so it's just a reminder always to come back to that which connects us all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's beautiful. And yeah, I've been experiencing that as well, just going from different communities, you start feeling this like connection to people you may not even know, but it's like you're feeling that source energy with like random complete strangers. You're like, oh my God, like what is this feeling? And it's
it's beyond words, right?
It's beyond words. It's hard to explain. And we've been speaking about this connection to community and this inherent unity, that's like all throughout the world. Like, are there, like, from your experience, there's so many different ways to get into spiritual practice. Like, are there any practices that you particularly, are unique practices that you would say, hey, you got to do this. This is what I recommend. This has been my personal wisdom. That's really great for people to realize that inherent unity, that we are connected, to feel that connection. Like, what are some practices that you can recommend for that?
Well, I would say any, introspective practice. And so that every tradition has some form of meditation, some form of prayer, some form of awareness. And so, I think we all find our own way when we're ready for those practices. One of the things I believe in the most is just having some time in silence. And so many of us find that in nature. We kind of naturally are drawn to go hiking or to the beach or wherever, we live, even on a picnic or whatever. And there's something very powerful about being in nature. Yeah. And part of that is that it's our own nature. It's what we come from, right? And so there are many practices that we can do, but I think because we are connected, and this is something that's very important to understand through physics and through science. And I'm not a scientist, but it's my understanding. But it is there that all of life, nothing exists in a vacuum. The interconnectedness of life, and that's been shown through the possibility of physics, that everything is part of this equation. And I think my experience is that as human beings and as part of a human family, within the intelligence of the heart, which is a different intelligence than the mind is also important, but the heart-mind and the intelligence of the heart, which has also been shown that the human heart, some people may not know this, but the human heart generates electromagnetic fields that are over electrically 10 times more than any other part of us. and magnetically over 5,000 times more. That's an incredible understanding because in a sense we're all looking for energy, right?
Yeah, it's right here.
Exactly, it's right here. That's the paradox, right? So the emotional and resonant fields of the heart intelligence. This is the place we know that we are connected, that we are family, that we know that we're not here to be at war together, we're not here to exploit the planet, we're not here to bring each other down. That's a very deep goodness within human nature. But of course, there are different paths, and sometimes that gets misunderstood, it gets corrupted, power, egos, etc.
Yeah.
And when we have some kind of practice that brings us back into contact with our deeper nature, with our deeper intelligence, this truth comes very naturally for us.
Yeah.
There's, it's like our true nature is not war or violence or ego. That's a distortion.
Yeah.
The true nature is the bond, is the connection in humanity.
Yeah.
And I believe that, but I also have seen that with my own eyes. And like what you were saying just now about, traveling around the world and people you don't know, but in a certain context, it's very clear the feeling and the connection.
Yeah.
And I think we have to remember that, science itself tells us that we are aware of a very limited part of the spectrum, like somewhere around 1 to 10%. There's different ideas, but that means most of what exists in phenomena we don't see.
We don't even know about. Yeah.
But we can tap into with our spiritual sense.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing, and something I've been thinking about is that, folks like us, like we travel, we go to these events, so we're surrounded by mostly peaceful people, mostly, and we're seeing a lot of bliss, a lot of yoga, meditation, but you and I both know that there's a lot going on in this world. There's this whole spectrum we're speaking about. There's a lot of different dimensions of emotions and anger and rage and happiness, all these different things that are going on. So, and we've had some really awesome conversations at some of these festivals about what is going on in the world. Like, what are a few things you think that humanity right now needs to step into its power to elevate this global consciousness? You've got all the wars to like the craziness, and then to the happiness, the people dancing. Like, what do you think humanity needs as a unity, to like elevate its own consciousness right now?
Well,
and that's a big question, but like
well, the thing is, I
know you think about it.
I think it's happening, and it's happening through like what you were talking about, the festivals and the gatherings. There are people all over the earth who are coming together in different forms in a shared experience of unity and connection. And through music, a universal language, through the heart, a universal language, through spiritual practices that are inclusive. And so many, many people are having that experience. And I would say that the consciousness of the earth is rising, that there are many, many people awakening. And the majority of the people on this earth are connected to the goodness of heart. Yeah. And they don't want wars, they don't want to poison the planet, deplete the resources. But what's happened is that there's, for whatever reasons are there, the collective leadership of the planet has decided on a certain course. But we're all connected to that in some way. We're all, to me, that reflects a part of all of us. Yeah. Right? And yet, people coming together in a peaceful way, and enough people awakening in this kind of quantum equation, humanity's awareness wakes up, and then we start to make different choices about what we buy, about where we go, what we do, who we vote for, what we put our money into and our energy. And really we have to remember, like, this is a vibrational universe. We're vibrational beings, and everything is energy exchange. Every time we're exchanging money, exchanging love, hugs, negativity, whatever, it's energy, and it's all creating this bigger reality. So I would say we keep doing what we're doing, and the more people that are able to not react to the violence, the negativity, the prejudice, the only antidote for that is understanding, is peace, is love. If you think about what the great beings have taught, from saints to people like Martin Luther King and Gandhi, it is never an eye for an eye. And as Gandhi said, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind.
Yeah.
And when we see that much of the conflict can be healed through understanding, through peaceful means,
Mm-hmm.
then it changes. And I don't, I mean, I know that's a very complicated
Yeah.
place, but there are leaders there who understand that, who are speaking to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll continue to become more because they reflect the consciousness of the people. And I really, in my heart, I believe that peace is possible. When, as John Lennon said, right, peace is possible if you want it, or peace is here if you want it.
Absolutely.
And so it just takes enough of us to decide that, to kind of wake up from the dream of
Mm-hmm.
ego, materialism, selfish desires, and realize that we are all connected. It's okay to have your desires and your passions, but there's a bigger picture.
And it's a journey. I feel like we come to that realization, and then it becomes a process that we're tapping into, and knowing that it's possible. So, and you spoke about journey as well, and you've been on quite a journey in your life. As I understand, you were in the music world before, and you're doing this now with yoga and meditation and sacred journeys. So what would you say is like unique about your journey where you are right now? Like, what is unique about that process?
Well, that I don't know, because I don't know people's journey. I mean, it's unique in that it's mine, and
Yeah.
that I'm experiencing it. But it's a funny thing. I mean, I grew up, and I had the fortune to go into the music business when I was very young.
Mm-hmm.
My father was a musician.
Okay.
And at some point in his life, he built a recording studio in Malibu, California. It was called Avatar Recording.
What? Really?
Yeah, my dad also was interested in spiritual things, and I miss him. He's still with me though.
Avatar.
But so through that, as a teenager, I found this love for music, and I kind of got behind the board and the controls and learned engineering and production, and it was like kind of a baby musician learning. But at some point, when I was 23, I realized that lifestyle, the way that I was doing it, the way that it was around me, was not healthy. It was like a deep knowing, but I didn't really know what to do about it. And I had been learning some yoga since my first teacher, Rahula, a little yoga, meditation. And at some point, I just let go of all that, went into my spiritual practice. I went to live in a monastery for a little while, just to really try to get clear. And I ended up going to India shortly after that. And when I heard the devotional music from India, bhajans, kirtan, it hit me very deeply in my heart. And I realized that for me, that was what was missing from popular music, pop music, was the deep devotion and love and connection to spirit. Now, there are many forms of spiritual music, obviously, right? But for me, that just really resonated. And I had no intention about ever really coming back to that, but a friend bought me harmonium some years later. Yeah. And I was just playing in my own room, and just, it was just a mystical experience and fun. And then just slowly it came into yoga rooms and like that. And all of a sudden I found myself doing festivals and being surrounded by great musicians like you. And sharing in music, and I feel so blessed for that, So
like that was
circle. It's like full circle.
Absolutely, right? I mean, that was a very unique experience for you going through that process. Now, we say that everyone has a unique offering to this world, and everyone has certain unique purpose. First of all, do you believe that everyone has something unique to share here? And if yes, like, what are some practices you think that like they could tap into the finding what their unique gift is? Because a lot of people from my conversations, they're in the process, they don't know what their unique offer, they don't know their dharma. They're like trying to figure out what am I here? Who am I? Like, what am I here to be? And that's a, I don't want to say problem, it's an opportunity, I guess, for people to figure out. But what are some practices you think that can help people, realize what that is, their unique gift?
Well, so first, yes, I believe that. I think, and inherently that is woven into, what Aldous Huxley, one of the great Western,
I love them.
philosophers, he
Doors of
called
perception.
it exactly
Yeah.
the perennial philosophy. It's interesting. We were just talking about this in our session this morning. We're here at a training,
Ah, cool.
and this is the eternal mother, father wisdom of life that has been in all cultures, and that wisdom shares that every soul is unique. As every child born has unique qualities, we can actually see that very easily in little beings, in the specialness of children. It's not always honored,
Mm-hmm.
but we can more easily see it. And so that this kind of mythology is that we're all on a journey, which is something that you mentioned earlier, and this journey of the soul, this journey of a deeper essence, was there. It was there in Christianity in the beginning. It was there in Kabbalah. It was there for the yogis and the Mayans and the Egyptians, etc. Is this the idea of the soul's journey? And Joseph Campbell's a great scholar in our Western tradition who pieced pieces of these sacred stories together to remind us, and what they're all saying, echoing through time, is that this human birth is precious. You are here for a special reason. And in a sense, it's like we all have a gift, what you were saying. I would say that every soul comes here for learning in this earth school, but it also has a unique gift. And part of knowing who you are, you said the question, who am I? That's the question we all go through.
Yeah.
We're meant to go through. It's part of our initiation. And as you start to know who you are, it's by diving deeply in. Your gift, your unique, authentic self comes through. Sharing that gift from the Creator with everyone, with the world, in service to the world, is very much what yoga is about, right? We would use the terms swadharma, which means your own unique truth, and then in seva, service to a greater truth, which is the unity of all things. And so great servants, like people that inspire my heart and mind, many great saints and mystics, but people also like, Martin Luther King, when I hear him speak, my soul shakes. And anyone that's out there just, sharing their love and devotion. And so how do we tap into that? First of all, it's okay not to know. That's the great question, because we're all taught
saying that.
We're taught how the world works, what the purpose of life is, get material ladder, make money, or whatever, get an education. It's more or less, unless you have a blessing of a spiritual bringing, more or less the material world. But very quickly we find that that doesn't bring true happiness. And so at some point then we ask the question, what is the deeper meaning of life? Who am I? Why am I here? This is the deep thing. And then you said, what practices? Well, then I really believe our soul guides us to that. And so somebody may just be watching this or hearing this. We are all connected in the philosophy of yoga. There's never a moment we're not connected. Mm-hmm. So when you sincerely ask, when you sincerely open to the possibilities, they begin to come. And so, as we said earlier, any introspective practices, any place that you begin to tap into your creativity, your deeper being, it just starts to flow.
So we actually have to ask, it's like having that communication with our divine or source or however we connect to a greater part, asking for that, show me,
Well, it's one possibility. I don't think we all have to ask. I think sometimes, for some people it is. It's like, okay, show me,
Yeah. Okay.
And for others, it's more of an internal thing, maybe not so much in words or logic, but just a feeling
or revelation that comes through.
Yeah, I feel like in my own case, I had a lot of grace only because I felt like I was kind of guided to things before I really knew what they were and could appreciate them. I somehow found myself there and learning, but I was interested. But by the time I figured, when I came back from being in Asia for a few years, I had no intention to teach yoga or anything, but I didn't know what else to do. And so I was invited to share that which I knew.
Yeah.
And all these years later, 20 years later, from just that teaching, I'm still following that path. And I will only do it as long as it feels like I don't really have an attachment to it. I know that sounds maybe a little weird, but for me, it feels right. It's good. There's connection in it. And if I was guided to do something else that I felt I could help and serve, I would do that.
So you're a creative individual. Obviously, you've been in music. You're still doing music. You're teaching. Can you just describe a little bit about what your personal creative process is like? Maybe if you're developing something or writing a song or you have to create something new, a project. Like, what is your personal like creative process?
Honestly, it's for me, it's just like opening kind of everything we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Just it's like opening up to a flow, a pulse of energy, and it
Mm.
comes through me. And for me, like a lot of that is just happening in the moment. I haven't been so focused on making products, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that would be a nice thing to do to share more. But I've had such a good time to this point, just co-creating, in a space of healing or yoga and music. To me, that makes me feel very alive in that pulse. And so,
Hmm.
for me, it's just opening, allowing. It's like we're all channels.
Yeah.
When a great musician, writes a concerto or a piece or a poem comes through, or you're in the kitchen and you're inspired to cook and that divine, so I would say creativity is divine energy, as in creation, and the root of that word is a Sanskrit word, kri,
Mm.
which is the root of the word karma, and kriya, and kri means action. Because we are divine beings as well as human beings, we're an intersection, that creativity flows through us, and if we ever notice how we feel, and you can totally relate to this in what you do, it's how we feel when we're being creative, how alive, how juicy, how inspired. It's like we light the fire, right?
Hmm.
It's because we're just allowing that divine spark of creativity, creation, to flow through us. And so I feel we all have access to that, and there are infinite ways to bring it out. Follow your heart. You may be guided, like, what do you always wanted to do? Get a guitar and learn to play guitar? Get a guitar. Paint, you know? Whatever it is, write a poem, make food. Everything can be this divine creativity.
Beautiful. In that process, in that answering that question, you mentioned about co-creation, and one of the things we get to do is we get to play with a lot of different teachers and musicians in this kind of world. Like, are you currently collaborating with any other teachers or artists or groups in your work that you're doing?
Great. We're right now in the middle of a training here in Ojai, and I have, I've got a few musicians here.
Oh,
Arjun
cool.
O'Neill was here today, sharing
Oh, yeah, I know, Arjun.
everyone to play Mridanga.
Yeah.
And Mas Vidal is coming in to share some Ayurveda with us. He's a great teacher. Manoj Chalam,
Yeah.
Manoj, he's coming to share about the
Wow.
deities. Musicians, Amita coming to teach Hanuman Chalisa. So it's kind of always ongoing. I don't like so much being alone. Jim Beckwith, I work with a
Oh,
lot.
yeah.
And then, people like you, and whenever we can kind of come together. So for me, it's like ongoing, and it's all guided by what arises, what feels right, where the synergy is, and then how can we be in a conversation creatively.
Hmm.
Um, and so we can kind of support each other in that way. And, I love that.
It's beautiful. Right now, this going back to the talk about the global purpose and what's going on in the human collective right now. What do you believe like right now, like from what you're seeing, like what is humanity's collective, global purpose right now at this time? Like,
Well, I mean, as you said earlier, I mean, there's a little bit of everything. And there's certainly, on one level, a lot of fear
yeah.
and anger and oppression and war, and all these things are there. And there's also, on another level, there's tremendous creativity,
Hmm.
tremendous sharing and caring and love. And so in the end, it's like, what do we want? At a certain level of awareness, we realize that we're a part of this energy equation.
Yeah.
And what do I want to put my energy into? Whether or not peace could be possible, which I do feel it is, I want to, as much as I can, put my energy into that. Because it helps my own life, my own being, my own mind, body, soul. But then it's helping others. And there's a sharing. I think we're at a great crossroads, honestly. I think in our collective evolution, we're up through the chakras, we're stuck here. We haven't yet birthed into the collective heart awareness or heart chakra,
So we're on our way there, kind of.
Right, which holds the truth for us that we are one, that all of life is connected. We share the same earth, we share the same breath, we share many things, that we are human family.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still so many things that separate us and divide us. And many of those things are things that we just think of as normal, but politically, even sometimes religiously, economically, nations, creeds, and that. And so that serves a purpose. But it also, I feel, and I say this with all sincerity, is the root of our suffering.
Okay, speak a little bit about that, yeah.
Well, when we look at others by their skin color or by their culture, and distance ourselves, and maybe even feel fear because we don't understand someone. And we're often in certain rhetorics also taught to blame others, to fear others, to be separate from others. We all have a unique individuality. It's just part of our makeup.
Yeah.
But we also have a unique unity and connectivity.
Mm-hmm.
We really want peace on this planet. What is peace really? But it's the harmonizing of all the different energies into a dynamic state of being.
Yeah.
And so this crossroads is even here in America right now, we're seeing a very, on the surface, divided public.
Yeah.
Divided country. But I feel like a lot of that's being played out in the media that kind of sensationalizes often these things because they get people riled up and plugged in. But
it's like a giant reality show that's really like striking all these different emotions of the entire collective.
Yes. They believe that most of the people, if not all, on some deeper level, really want peace. They don't want to blow the planet up. They don't want to bomb another country. And we have to take responsibility for our part in that. And I really feel that it is possible, but it is going to take waking up. And then also as we begin to wake up around our Mother Earth, that we can't just take what we want from her without honoring her, and that we can't rape the earth. Yeah. And it's because this is our ecosystem. And we live in this ecosystem, in this web of life, as the ancients would say, with other beings, like whales and dolphins. Do you care about those beings? And birds and animals and deer and lions. We're actually, some scientists say, we're entering the 6th level of extinction in our evolutionary process here, which is really not evolutionary, it's going down. We, as stewards of the earth, if we really care and pay attention, we can reverse that. It's not too late.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I see youth now as, in so many ways, as these incredible souls and beings who are coming in who understand often much more deeply than adults do. This is their planet. This belongs to everyone.
Yeah.
This is madness. What is happening? And then you see young beings, we won't even say young, well, maybe young people, but old souls, or however that works.
Wise.
Yeah, amazing things. And, that gives me hope.
It's beautiful. You've been speaking about Earth, and I know you have a deep connection to Mother Earth. Do you have a favorite story of Mother Earth, any kind that you could share with the audience here?
Yeah, so there's a couple things that come to mind. So the first one is that in the Vedic or yogic mythology, the Mother Earth, and isn't it interesting? In all cultures, we call her Mother Earth. I don't think anyone says Father Earth, right? Why? Because the qualities of the universal feminine is that nurturing, life-giving, birthing. We all came here through our mother, right? And so there are many levels of that. So the cosmic mother principle, the divine nurturing creative force, Shakti, becomes, and in this form it's Mother Sita, becomes the Mother Earth. And so Mother Earth is called in Sanskrit Bhumi. And Bhumi is where we get the English word humus. Humus as in soil. Right? And that soil, so these words are etymologically connected. I learned this from a great scholar, Jeffrey Armstrong, who's amazing with these things. But so many words in English would blow your mind, and Romance languages of Europe that are rooted in Sanskrit. I will say a mother tongue. Some people say the mother tongue. That I don't know. But it's certainly a mother tongue of earth. And so the beings of the soil, and then, oh, sorry, I missed the point. So from the humus comes human.
Oh, yeah.
So the humans are the people of the soil of the earth.
Yeah.
Who are the soil. The soil is from the Mother Earth. So if you connect it all the way through, we are the beings of the Mother Earth. And the living consciousness that many cultures believed, including even in the modern time, through the work of scientist Rupert Sheldrake, who put forth the Gaia hypothesis.
Yeah.
And Gaia as the living ecosystem, as an intelligence. I'm getting like huge, what they call chicken skin in Hawaii, but I'm getting like, and so like we are part of this incredible and beautiful system. And every day, there are people running around saying there's not enough for everyone, we have to hoard, we have to do this, take our
story.
We throw away in America so much food every day. There are children and adults, sisters and brothers dying from not enough food. But in America, we throw away so much every day. I don't know about other countries. Every day, the Mother Earth gives enough food, shelter, resources for everyone. There's a saying I learned many years ago. It's very simple, but it resonates. There's enough for everyone's need, but no one's greed. And so there is enough every day that's given, but because our distribution system is primarily based on greed and ego, we don't share with everyone that needs. And I really, call me naive and simplistic, but I believe that we can do better, and I believe that we can do that. And many people are working towards that right now.
Yes.
To do that. And so for me, I try to remember to live my life in gratitude as much as I can, and thank Mother, and spend time in nature, close to the elements, to the earth, and realize how many gifts how many blessings, especially with those of us that live in affluent countries.
Oh yeah, we're
lucky. And that we should share.
We're definitely lucky. And we're almost out of time here, so I just want to. I know you've been working on a music project, so I just want to, just a few sentences. Like, what's the update on your music project, and when can we expect the full album to hit the markets and our ears? I'm sure a lot of people want to know.
Thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
So I would like to share first my gratitude to everyone that has supported the music over the years and donated to this project. And it's taken much longer than I anticipated. We're about a year and a half into it. It's called the Atma Recording Project. Atma is soul in Sanskrit, or essence. It's like soul music, is how we think of it. And it's really just been a creative process, which I surrendered myself to the process, and it didn't quite go as I thought, but it's really been magical. And primarily with my good friend and musical brother Jim Beckwith, who's been co-producing.
Love Jim. That's great.
And we've had many wonderful people. Not everybody I'd love to have on it, but many amazing musicians, many of which I've played with a lot over the years. And the music has like a certain energy that, like for me, it's deep, it's soulful. And that's really the place it's coming from. And we kind of hit, we hit a bit of a stuck point in that creative process. And so I reached out to an old friend and very talented musician and producer named Dave Stringer.
Yeah.
And Dave was just nominated for a Grammy.
Yeah.
Which he incredibly deserves. He and Mighty Das for a beautiful album they made, which actually all the proceeds of that go to charity to support women's education in India. But it's really, now we're kind of in another phase, and Dave is very meticulous and he's zeroing in, and so we're kind of refining it.
Great.
So my intention is that it will be done by May.
Wow.
Should get some previews for our friends earlier, and then sometime this summer we'll be releasing. And we did release one song called Jai Ganesha, Victory to Love.
We'll include it in this recording so people can check it out.
Yeah, it's there. And so those of you that donated, please be patient. Come soon. And I'm very much looking forward to sharing that music with everybody.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. What are some ways people can stay in touch with you? Is there like a website, or what's the best way, I guess, people can, because you offer a lot of different and beautiful, trips and classes and, retreats and all kinds of things. What's the best way that they can reach out to you?
The internet's good. We have a website. My name, Saul David Raye. And
SaulDavidRaye.com.
Ritam Healing Arts.
Okay.
Ritam, Ritam, which means the cosmic rhythm, divine rhythm. And we have there's an email list, there's a Facebook page.
Okay.
And if I always love it, when we're at festivals or places when people come and say hello, and just have, even if it's just like a moment, we just, like you said, we just kind of lock eyes and heart to heart and just feel that, and we'll be, there's a lot of these. I would really also urge people to, check out some of these festivals. They're happening all over the planet in many, many more places. I actually have a little thing in my mind. It's like, when there's a festival in every town, there'll be peace on earth. And when I said in a conscious festival, whatever the modalities.
Yeah.
And when you go to these festivals, it's a whole new way, a new paradigm. This is how the new paradigm's coming in, of relating to each other as soul family, heart family, human family.
Yeah.
Going beyond ego, beyond mind, beyond separations, into breath, into music, into dance, into yoga, into shared practices of ecology, of awareness. And I would say, have faith by putting our energy into that, supporting that, believing in that.
Yes.
And that is what strengthens it. That is also what shares it with others. And that together peace is possible.
Absolutely.
And love is necessary.
That should be the slogan. Love is necessary.
Love is necessary.
I haven't seen that one.
It's really like, that's a deep resonance in my heart. That
Beautiful.
it's not just whatever we might call it, some aspect of life, but it really is, love is necessary for our evolution, for our next evolutionary wave into consciousness. And so many great masters, including Jesus, have said that, God is love. Jesus, in my limited understanding, but I will say that, he was an avatar of love, what we call a prema avatar, and that he was a great teacher of that. And he came to turn things away from some of the archaic beliefs that are recorded in certain scriptures. I don't like to criticize anything, but there's certainly, in many traditions, maybe all, there are things that no longer serve us. And an eye for an eye, for me, is one of those.
Absolutely.
That keeps us in a constant state of reactivity and reaction and violence and war.
Fear and judgment.
Since Jesus has been here, we've been at war every day on the planet.
Yeah.
So
Love is necessary.
Necessary. That's right.
Very
This is
cool.
music.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be seeing each other throughout the summer. We'll maybe
I
we'll be
look
able
forward
to
to that.
get to play a little bit more, and it's always a pleasure seeing you and connecting. And I just want to thank you for taking this time. I know you're super busy, so thank you for taking this time to share this wisdom with us, your experience, and your journeys and what you're doing in the world. And really, really grateful for
Pleasure.
that.
Thank you, brother. And
Yeah,
to everyone, anyone who's watching, thank you. Blessings on your path, your journey. And may you have the courage and the blessing to follow your heart. Namaste.
namaste. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us on another episode of Global Purpose Speaks. I am your host, DJ Taz Rashid. And just a reminder, this talk series is created in partnership with Global Purpose Movement. And it's a collective of change makers getting together and co-creating in the globe's current shift towards a world that works for everyone. You can join the conversation at globalpurposemovement.com. We'll see you next time. Namaste. Thank you.